Hello and welcome. Welcome, welcome. It's Tuesday, my favorite day of the week, and we are live for episode 18. 18 weeks straight. We've been live every Tuesday talking about all kinds of stuff. Today we're talking about, well, we've been talking about the Big Leap. Today we're talking about chapter 3 specifically in the Big Leap. But before we get into that, and it kind of synchronizes with the chapter because he even talks about in here, okay, let me back up a second. I don't know where to start. So if you guys read, if you're on my email list or you're in my Facebook group, you know I posted a post yesterday about how I hit a ridiculous upper limit this past weekend. Okay, so let me just backpedal a little bit. Things have been going phenomenally well. Okay, and I would say things got exponentially better starting like maybe Thursday or Friday when I post posts. I'm trying to make this story as succinct as possible. I usually post posts in this one Facebook group that I like to engage in. It was really helpful to me when I was getting started, and I like to give back to the community. I like to post. And the last little while, my posts are getting declined they're saying it's for self-promotion, but it's not, there's nothing going on. So it's literally just value, right? So I was like, okay, I'm going to take this as my sign that I need to be hanging out in different places. Like maybe this is happening because, well, we know it's happening for a reason. I thought maybe this is happening because the people I'm meant to serve are no longer in this space and I'm ready to elevate to another space. So I started posting in a different Facebook group, and not only was the post immediately well received, but the engagement was mental. I was being thanked left, right, and center for my posts. I had new people come. I mean, obviously people are nosy, right? So they come over to my personal profile. They're following me. They're adding me as a friend. They're even finding their way into my Facebook group. One of these women ended up signing up for my weekly text or daily text messages that I charge $1.11 a week for, and ended up purchasing a couple of different small, low ticket offers within that, that kind of pertain to that. And anyway, so things are just going really, really well. The weather's been nice. All my relationships are flourishing. Teresa and I are doing well. We continue to show up for ourselves and pat ourselves on the back because it's some weeks like last week, it's a challenge, right? To do it and to trust that we're doing the right things. And I'm, both of us are getting messages constantly about how our work is impacting people's lives and how good that feels. And then, like I say, we had a great weekend, and it was Mother's Day, and I got to even surprise one of my favorite aunts was coming into town. I got to surprise her and my uncle at my parents' house because they were staying overnight, and it was just amazing. And so, boom, upper limit hit. Okay, I will have a drink or two, especially when it's sunny over the weekend, right? But I decided to just go balls to the wall and binge drink at my parents' house. And then, against all my better judgment of years of knowing better, I decided to smoke a tiny little bit of pot with my dad after I had been drinking all day, which I knew I shouldn't have done, right? Like before I did it, I knew I shouldn't do it. And I wasn't planning on doing it, but I went up to say something to him and he had it in his hand and I was like, whatever. And so I immediately regretted it because I was sick. I was sitting there totally zoned out. My husband had to help me to the bathroom. I had full intention to leave my parents' house at 7:30. It's now, fast forward 9:30. I've been puking. I'm laying on the bathroom floor. I can't move. We can't go anywhere. I'm considering telling them to leave me there and come back and get me tomorrow. It was awful. Then we finally do get home. I am sick more. And then I end up, putting myself to bed. Derek totally dad, husband, superhero to the rescue, took care of everything else. I literally could just put myself to bed. And, but while I'm laying on the bathroom floor at my mom's house, half coherent because I'm very, very, very
frustrated.
Yeah. I am very intoxicated, but I recognized even in that moment that I was like, okay, this is an upper limit. And this is not who I want to be either. I was like, I'm not proud of this right now. My husband came in to check on me and I was like, I need to tell you, I am very ashamed of my behavior and of who I'm being right now. This is not what I want. And then I dropped into shame because I was like, oh my God, I can feel myself at the bottom of the consciousness map. Okay. I was like, this is not good at all. And I thought, this is not what I want. I don't want to be this person. And then I was thinking back to all the times in the, recent past that I've had a couple of drinks. And it's just like, why do I do this to myself? Like, I enjoy the flavors of the beverages I'm drinking, right? But then I'm like, well, there's no reason I can't make all of those as like mocktails. There's no reason there has to be alcohol in it, right? And anyway, so I bring all of this up to Teresa. I sent her a message yesterday and I was like, dude, you would not believe what I did to myself on a freaking school night of all things. Like, my son has to get up for school on Monday, all this. And she's like, you will not even believe this, but I literally was just talking to a friend of mine who is experiencing almost the exact same, over the same days of the week too. She's like, the exact same situation. And I was like, okay, well, we have to bring this up, because even if it's just me and her, although I'm sure there's plenty of other people who are going through similar situations, where basically we're awakening to the fact that we are not in complete integrity with who we want to be. And then I'm reading chapter 3 and he talks about this exact thing in this chapter. So I couldn't have timed it any better myself.
It's many things, right? I mean, previously to now, where you're really stepping into your power and connecting to your higher self, how many times did you go to a family function? That was part of it. We're just hanging out. Here's a beer. Here's a mimosa,
Yeah.
You were wired that way for how long? For so many years.
Right.
Okay. But what happens when we do that to ourselves? It's another, it's exchanging real, genuine happiness, dopamine, serotonin for a quick fix, which ultimately is breaking you down.
Yeah.
You're wasting time of your life. Right. But it's so many things hitting you at one time, because now you're going to have to learn new ways to connect to your family like you used to before.
Right.
Right. You're rewiring everything. How do I still connect with them on this level and have a good time today for Mother's Day without doing these things? So you were like, you know what? Fuck it. We've done this so many times. It felt good all the other times. And your higher self, 1111, is like, you know what? Let me hit her real fucking hard.
Yeah.
So that you could be disgusted and be like, I don't want this. I don't want to be part of this matrix shit anymore. I'm bringing in this new paradigm. Pure love, pure happiness, where everybody could feel like they're on drugs, because we're in a fucking high vibration naturally.
Right.
That's what this journey is about. This whole thing, even as I'm reading this book, in my head is still like, this is all still about energy and vibration.
Yeah.
Everything, right? We say, follow your joy moment to moment. Why? Because it releases resistance, but also because this is a energetic, vibrational universe that we live in. Like, you can't avoid it. It is what the fuck it is. So when you're drinking, when you're smoking, it's all lowering your vibration. Although, it also depends on how we look at these things and setting intentions as well. But the human self, the alcohol, does have certain effects that, do you want to be with that? Do you not want to be with that? And if you're going to keep doing these things, you have to set intentions prior to.
Yeah.
We can put an intention in it. But for me, myself, I'm like, I just want to avoid it. I hate fucking losing time in my life.
Mm-hmm.
I hate it, especially right now. And I feel like I'm building so much momentum and forward movement to creating all these amazing things. Is just like a roadblock. But again, perspective shift. We don't fucking go into shame, because where is shame, right? On that consciousness level
just
chart.
Way at the bottom. It's right there at the bottom. Just right.
Then what happens from there? The book says, then the worry kicks in, right? You start thinking about all these things. Oh my God, I fucked up. I'm a piece of shit. What's my husband thinking? What's my family thinking? I disappointed my child. Yeah. It's just a fucking domino effect of shit.
Yeah.
And then you just lost all that momentum that you built.
Yeah.
But it's okay. Everything happens for a reason. Sometimes we just need one more time to dip in that shit to be like, okay, I don't fucking want this.
Yeah. Just like a confirmation.
I don't want to be here.
A signier sign that that's not what we want. Yeah. And and it was funny because I was thinking about like you were saying, this is how, not just my family, like most families, you get around, you socialize with people, there's drinks involved, or there's smoking involved, or there's whatever, like most people are doing something. And it was funny because I was thinking about all this, and I wrote this in part of my email out to my people. And I was like, look, I realized on one hand, it was like, this is how we relate, like you were saying. But on the other hand, I also realized that I use it as a way to amplify the good feeling, but then I realize what's really happening is I don't know how to hold the good feeling without it. So I feel like I need it, right?
Exactly.
And this is what he's talking about in the Big Leap.
Exactly.
He's talking about. And then on top of all of that, then you add in the kind of like the outshining hidden barrier we were talking about last week.
This is such a huge deal right now, though. Like we said, even though we go a little bit side tangent, the whole collective is dealing with this, because I think I said this last episode too, right? I have a lot of women who reach out to me on Instagram. If you're reaching out to any of us, is because your soul is calling for it, right? Mm-hmm. So they're like, I need you right now. I can't. Okay, let's go. Game time. Well, it's on a Friday. Over the weekend, I see they're posting, partying, having an amazing time, thanking their friends for showing them and giving them the time of their life. Just like you said, right? You're having this realization. This is where you're having your feel-good feelings at, which they were too. But then what happens when it's done? What happens in, the next day when you're trying to recover? Yeah. It's just like you have all this yucky, fucking nasty feelings inside. Like we said, the shame, the guilt, and all of that stuff. So here's now where we are reprogramming, having this awareness. You know what? All I have to do is, when certain things are happening throughout the day that make me feel amazing, we got to soak in it. And the book talks about this. Yeah. Savor it. Savor those good emotions, so that we're creating a new energetic state. So our body's getting used to this. So it's not pulling us back to those old ways and that old shit that's only temporary. We're doing this so that we come back to a straight place of love, where it's not little fixes here and there. Right. We're fucking on this high 24/7. Yeah. That's why we're doing this.
Yes. And that brings me to, that's so funny, the parallel. I love it. That brings me to my last kind of realization in this like cluster of epiphanies, was that also I think part of me feels like bad for having so many things go really well, because also what happens when you get together with especially family members is, like, we know you've been conditioned to complain in groups. What's going on? Like, what's going wrong in your life? Like, nobody says it like that, but that's basically let's get together and complain about all the things that aren't going right. And I will not do those things. So I feel like part of me, like, unconsciously feels like bad that I actually don't need, like, realistically, I don't need the smoking. I don't need the drinks to feel good, because
let me speak on this really quick.
Yes.
I can totally feel what you're saying right now. I literally walked into a room and my family's having a conversation. I was like, oh, that's such a waste of time. You're talking about fucking nonsense. If you all just knew, you're regurgitating. But, I don't want to be like, oh, this is all Teresa ever fucking talks about. So I walk out, go do something else. I come back fucking 35, 40 minutes later. They're on the same conversation. So these are the people that you love. So you want to connect to them, but you can't have the same conversations prior to your fucking awakening and awareness to this information. So where we got to start making new connections. We got to be the ones who find something that we can connect to them on another level, even help them into their own awakening, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
No,
and
no pressure, no pressure.
No pressure at all. No pressure at all. One thing that I do find, like, just if anybody wants like a quick tip on, like, okay, but how do you actually do that? One quick thing that my husband and I, and we never really discussed it like tag team, it's just something that we naturally do, is we will kind of sprinkle, but the silver lining is blah, 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 and like help them see it a better way. And I noticed I did it at school the other day. I was talking to this mom, her daughter is in my son's class, and she fell and she broke her collarbone the other day. On the day that we did the salmon release. If you guys follow me on social media, you saw we went on the field trip to release the little salmon that they were growing in their, well, they weren't growing them, you know what I mean, in their classroom. And her dad was supposed to chaperone the field trip. So he already had the day off of work. And then she fell in the morning and broke her collarbone. And at first she was crying. We all thought, oh, she's so sad about the salmon. But no, it turned out she broke her collarbone. But anyway, I said to her husband, though, or I said to her mom when I was talking to her, we were waiting for pickup one day, and I was like, but how lucky is it? Like, if it's going to happen at all, how lucky is it that dad already had the day off and he was already standing right there? She's like, oh, I know. It was just like, if it has to happen, at least that's the best way for it to go. So that is something, just like a little action step you can take away. If you're in a conversation with people, either at work or family members or whatever, where people are just like, bah, 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 bah. It's my firm belief, And Teresa's, I know as well, that everything is always working out for us. There's a reason for everything. Nothing happens by coincidence. And there is always something good. So sometimes you got to dig a little further for it, but you can always find it. So that's why I find but the silver lining is, or if you think about it, blah, 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 helps at least shift the energy a little bit away from the negative a little bit. And some people are just determined to be negative. And then that's when you have to learn, okay, you know what, like this person is not somebody I want to engage with.
Well,
too
it's
much.
like how the book is talking about. It's an addiction.
Yes. Yeah.
They don't even know this. They don't even have this awareness. Like they are literally addicted to these kind of conversations. Yeah. And the, again, even the chemicals that are being released when they're talking about these things and they're getting angry and they're like, I can't believe this and I can't believe that. They have become addicted to these things. Yeah. Another thing that I wanted to speak on too is like, for myself, I always get like, oh, you're too rough, you're too cutthroat. And I was, again, having a conversation with another soul sister this morning, and we were talking about this. And for the collective, for us mentors, teachers, and stuff like that, it's very hard for us to sit in these conversations. Again, we talked about this last episode as well, and hear people talking about the pain when we know every time they're speaking about it, it's creating that reality over and over and over. And we tend to just be like, can you just shut the fuck up? Just shut the fuck up. You just shut the fuck up.
Stop acting.
You're feeding me your energy. Just stop. But this is where, and I think as a collective, this is everybody in general too, but especially us, is like, we have to learn to filter everything through our heart space first, right? We don't want to shut down our throat chakra because we have to have all our chakras in alignment, but connecting and saying, I totally understand where you're coming from. Your pain is real. Your feelings are real. So that all the walls are taken down. And this is how we're connecting through this love.
Yeah. Validate
and then
first.
We tell them, okay, let's let it go. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, but
we got to change this.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I think you're right. Definitely the validation part first, because like Teresa's saying, how the walls fall down. If you don't validate first, nothing you say after that is going to be heard anyway.
Especially in your marriages, in your relationships, you must validate each other's feelings first.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because if not, it's fucking defense mode, and nobody's hearing anybody say anything. So
and then those walls just stay up and you're going around in circles, wasting your hours of your life, and it's just not worth it. So But so all of this is, and like I say, the timing of this is so funny because I read chapter 3 after my shenanigans this weekend. And so it's funny because he talks about, like, chapter 3 is spotting your upper limit problem in your daily life. And we've been talking about this now for, well, more than just the last couple of weeks we've been reading this book, but it's really in recognizing the patterns and how you operate, right? Because it's not necessarily going to be some profound, glowing neon Las Vegas sign that says this is your upper limit problem. It's going to be you going, oh shit, I didn't realize that this is how I do it, right? And so he lists off typical ways we upper limit ourselves. Worry. What's the next one? Worry is a huge one.
Criticism and blame.
Yeah, criticism and blame. What's the next one? And then there's at least one more. Deflecting that, and squabbling. Deflecting is something, and getting sick and getting hurt. Yeah, totally. Deflecting is something that makes me absolutely crazy. And that's one of the most obvious ones. And it's something that I used to do a lot. Two people would say, oh, like, for example, I get a lot of compliments on my hair, right? So people go, oh, your hair is so beautiful. And I would go, oh no, like it's a pain in the ass, or you wouldn't believe how much work it is, or whatever. Like, but then I totally shifted, right? Okay, this is funny. This perspective is kind of funny because on Friday, we were out for dinner with my parents-in-law invited us out for dinner. And we're sitting in this restaurant and I look around and I notice that pretty much, I was 98% of the chicks in this restaurant, their hair looked exactly the fricking same. It was like, whatever. I don't want to offend anybody, but it looked exactly the same. Everybody looked exactly. And I was like, oh my God. And then I was thinking, man, I used to hate my hair. And now I'm thinking, how lucky am I that I get to stand out? Like, I don't even have to worry about blending in. There's no way I could anyway, but like everybody looks the same. If you looked at the back of all of these girls, you would have no idea who is who. Right. And I was just like, that is goofy. But anyway, so I used to deflect a lot. And then just like the other day, a woman came up behind me in a store, and she's like, "Oh my God, your hair is so beautiful." And I was like, "Thank you so much." And she's like, "It's natural, isn't it?" And I was like, "I'm so sorry. Yeah, it is." Right? Like I can't send you to my hairstylist. I'm very sorry. Like, it is natural. But what's the point in deflecting, right? Like, if somebody tells you have a nice outfit on, like, okay, thank you. I received the compliment, right? And actually, one of the few helpful things that our previous mentor taught us, I remember this like plain as day. She would say things like, when she didn't say it like this, but I'm going to relate it to the book. When you deflect, like when you don't let somebody hold the door open for you, when you don't accept a gift, when you don't accept a compliment, not only are you blocking your own receptivity, but you're also blocking the other person's ability to give. And it has to be like, the universe wants everything to flow in a cyclical, continuously moving flow, right? It's the flow of abundance, the flow of good stuff, right? So I tell my clients this, and I consider this all the time when somebody is trying to do something nice for you, even just like offering you like a flower or a cookie or a whatever that you don't want. Like, just accept it anyway, because you don't want to block, you're signaling to the universe in that case that, no, I don't want more good things to come to me. And like I say, then you're also blocking their ability to give. And even if you don't want the thing, you don't want to be responsible for blocking somebody else's flow. So I always consider that. But okay, so let's talk about this. So I did so much highlighting this chapter because it was just like mentally amazing, this chapter. So just, I want to recap here. And he says it right here. When you're upper limiting, which we've turned it into a verb now, when you're upper limiting, you're doing something that is crimping your flow of positive energy. So one of the biggest ones in here, it's this first one he mentions, is worrying, right? Worrying is useful only if it concerns a topic we can actually do something about, and if it leads to our taking positive action right away. All other worry is just upper limit noise designed by our unconscious to keep us safely within our zone of excellence or zone of competence. Almost none of our worry thoughts have anything to do with reality. So anybody who's in any kind of entrepreneurship will understand where this comes from, right? You want to leave your job, or you have left your job, but maybe your income's a little bit unsteady. I mean, I know I've been there, right? And it's like, you're constantly worrying about, well, how am I going to pay for this? How am I going to afford that? When's my next client coming? How am I going to, and you're worrying. And it's like, okay, first of all, none of that worrying is doing anything. You're not taking any action. You're not sending any messages. You're not making any posts. You're not making any offers. You're not creating anything new. You're not even looking at your finances to see if you actually are okay or not. You're just sitting there worrying about it, right? That's not helpful at all. So what he's saying is, if what you're worrying about can't be fixed right this second, or you can't do anything about it, then move on. If you can do something about it, then actually start doing something about it. Like, start taking the action and moving in the right direction. Otherwise, you're just worrying for no reason.
Again, energy, vibration. This whole fucking journey is about alignment, vibrationally, energetically. Literally. Once we align our vibration, our frequency, to the God frequency, to the frequency of our desires, which is a higher vibration, everything just flows. As soon as we start worrying, again, we have to bring up that chart. We're gonna have to bring it up next episode or something, so that they can see what happens, all the different emotions, the worry, the fear, the anger, the shame, all of that, how it's so low at the bottom. You're literally not in alignment with anything. Nothing is going to come to you at all. Let me just share something that was pretty fucking amazing. I know we talked about before in our last program how we were saying money could come from anywhere and checks and all this stuff, right? I hadn't really been focusing on that, but the last few days I got into all that self-talk again about becoming a money magnet. Money comes to me from, known and unknown places. I'm receiving random checks in the mail. A couple of days ago, right when I started this, I started thinking about all the fucking things that I have to pay this month. I'm like, oh, I have to pay this, I have to pay that. Oh my gosh, this new payment that I have coming up. And I was like, wait, what are you doing? Stop. What the worry came in, right? We can't help it. As humans, we have so many thoughts coming through all day, every day. So I was like, hold on. I caught myself. I had this awareness that the worry was coming in. And I said, you know what? The universe is my daddy. The universe is my sugar daddy, right? All I have to do is be in alignment with my sugar daddy and everything flows and it comes to me. So one of the something.
Uh-oh. There we go.
It's like, where'd you go for 2 seconds?
What's happening?
One of the payments that I have coming up is like for 4 something, right? And I was like, that was one of the ones I was like, you know what? All of these things are going to be taken care of. Everything, period.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Yeah.
So yesterday I was actually talking to one of my friends and I was telling her, like, you just stay in the flow. Like, shit comes to you so easily when you stay in the flow.
Yeah.
And then I look at the counter. I was like, oh, I got mail. Open it. It's a check for $396. I don't even know what the fuck
amazing.
this company is. I don't even know what it's talking about. You guys, random checks in the mail. Your money doesn't even have to come from a fucking job.
No.
It can magically appear. It says that I was part of some lawsuit that they sued this company and they're giving people money back, but I've never even heard of the company. Make it make sense. It doesn't.
I know.
When you're in
It's
the
amazing.
flow, it's like when people, oh, you know, a miracle happened and, you know, a blessing. We are the miracle. We're creating it. Whether it comes or it doesn't come, whether the blessings come or don't come, we're in charge of that. According to our frequency, according to our vibration, according to us being in alignment with those things.
Yeah.
Worrying is not in alignment with that. Shame is not in alignment with that.
Right.
But look at how this happened. I was laughing. I was like messaging my friend. I'm like, dude, what were we just talking about? Like, look at this shit. $396 out of nowhere. But I was like, that's not big enough. We're going bigger now.
Yeah, let's get some more.
It had been a while since I was like doing this self-talk work, like committed to it, you know?
Yeah.
So that's the thing. What is your self-talk like? You have to have self-talk rampages, you know, your affirmations that you have for yourself. Those are your self-talk rampages. When the worry comes in, that's what you go into right away. Your self-talk rampages. What's the truth? Unless, like Danielle said, you know, it's a legit worry. You left a pot boiling on the stove and you're hours away, you know, something can actually happen. You have to take care of it, then yes. But it's just random shit that's coming in, you know, like, oh my gosh, did my hair look right that day? Or is so-and-so going to do this or that? Let it go. Your affirmations, everything is always working out for us, right? I am a fucking money magnet. Are you kidding me? Like, I can't even wait. Like, I feel so amazing. And I got here on time. So that tells you I'm in fucking alignment right now.
I was like, yes!
This momentum, this energy is so like, and the creativity is just on 10 right now because we're in flow. We're flowing. It's like we're getting downloads from the universe. You know, if you look into even Einstein and Tesla, they don't even take credit for the shit that they created. They literally said they got the downloads, they got the messages because they were in flow with the energy of the universe.
Right. Yeah. So. It's, you know, it just comes simply down to, Abraham Hicks says constantly, just start caring more about how you feel on like a moment to moment basis. Right. Because, and isn't that exactly what we're talking about in this book? Be aware of how you feel in the moment to moment. When you notice yourself worrying, you know, move through it. So
yeah. So for those of you that are wondering, am I in flow? Am I on that frequency of abundance? Check into your emotions. Yeah, how are you feeling?
Yeah.
Are you worrying? You're not in flow. Are you feeling fucking amazing? And you can see things just happening in front of you without even trying, things that feel good. You are in that flow. You're in that frequency.
Yeah. And that's how you can tell. And it's funny here. I want to just read this part that I highlighted because it's like, man. So he's talking about worrying, but he's talking about when you're talking to somebody else who's worrying. So if you took a random look inside any person's mind, chances are you'd find some worrying going on. And this is the typical person who's plugged into the matrix is what he doesn't say that, but that's kind of what he's talking about. If you suggest to that person that those worry thoughts are simply ways to avoid feeling the flow of positive energy, chances are the person won't say, you're right. They'll probably argue that their worrying is absolutely essential to the correct functioning of the universe, and that if they stopped worrying, the whole enterprise would collapse. I literally know people like this. They're like, no, but I have to think about this because who else is going to worry about it? And blah, blah, blah. And it's like, okay, hang on a second. Like he says here, 99% of my worrying was completely unnecessary. And it's very humbling to realize that my worries were there just to make me miserable. It was even more humbling to realize that I was the guy who had his finger firmly pressed on the misery button. And it was wonderful, though, to discover that I also had the power to quit pressing that button, right? And it's like and you don't even have to sit there and go, okay, well, I've been miserable for this long. I've been worrying for this long. I have to gradually step out of it. No, you can literally just decide to take your thumb off the button. Now, yes, obviously, he talks about in this book, it is a gradual process to allow yourself to expand and hold more good at a time. That is a process, but it doesn't have to take days and weeks and months. This can be like a fairly quick process if you're committed to seeing where you are standing in your own way. Mm-hmm. Right? And he says here, a tool that he's developed, and you guys can read this in the book, but I'll go over it really quick here. It says, there's a sequence of moves that will reliably get you out of the worry trap. So first, you notice yourself worrying about the thing. That's like you have to have the awareness first. So you have to set the intention that you're going to be more in tune with how you feel and what's going on in your body and your mind. Okay. So first, you notice you're worrying about something. And then you let go of the worry thoughts, shift your focus away from them. Okay. And then you wonder what positive new thing is trying to come into being. And then you say, he usually gets a body feeling, not a thought or idea of where that positive new thing is trying to come through. Then he opens his focus to feel the body feeling deeply. And I let myself feel it deeply for as long as I possibly can. And then later, I often get an idea of the positive thing that was trying to come through. So he gives an example here of how he's walking past this jewelry store and he sees this like beautiful necklace or something that he wants to buy for his wife. And then almost immediately he says, after about 15 seconds, I noticed I had worry thoughts about money, and specifically about, it's funny because I remember this story from when we read this book the last time, but he says specifically he started worrying about if he had enough money to send his niece to the school she wanted to go to. And anyway, fast forward to the end of the conversation, he's like, well, that's dumb because I have plenty of money to send this niece to school and I can support handful of other things too. I have enough money. And he's like, and I realized that this sparkly, beautiful necklace, I unconsciously also felt like it still didn't give justice to how much I love my wife and how much I appreciate her and all of this. And it was just stupid that if I hadn't been aware of what is truly going on, that I would have just spun out of control worrying about money when it wasn't warranted or anything, right? And he says in here, specifically worries about, well, most things, but specifically about money. He's like, when you're worrying about money, the worry is never actually about money. It's about something else. But money is just the surface level thing. And he doesn't say this, but I think that's because we're programmed to worry about money. We're programmed to think that we need to have more than we have, and that we're never going to have enough, and it's hard to earn it and it's hard to keep it and all of this, right? So he says, with practice, you'll get very nimble at noticing which thoughts are ones you should pay attention to and which you can dismiss. Because one moment, you feel like the negative worry thoughts have a grip on you, and then you realize with a little bit of awareness that you are actually the one that's hanging on to the worrying, and you can just let it go. Which I think is so powerful, because a lot of the time we are, no, but I have to worry about money because I don't have enough and da-da-da-da. And it's like, okay, hang on a second. First of all, that mindset's not going to get you any more money. First of all. Second of all, you have to understand that you're never going to be given something that you can't handle. Right. And it's funny because I was talking to a girl, she was asking me about one of my coaching packages. And at this moment, it's not financially aligned with her plans, but her response was, man, I must be coming into a lot of money pretty quick here because there's so many things I all of a sudden want to invest in. And I'm just like, yes, that is the mindset you want to have. You want to be knowing that if you're shown something that you want to do or want to invest in or want to become or want to do, it's because that's meant for you. Maybe not right this second, but it's one of those breadcrumbs Teresa and I was talking about, pulling you towards that direction, because, and maybe it's not that exact thing, but that's like, for example, when I told you guys several times before that my introduction to manifesting was through this idea that I could manifest like a whack ton of money, right? Because that was the breadcrumb that I needed to get where I actually need to be, which is understanding that peace and alignment and fulfillment and, embodying your ideal self is really what you want to be, because all of the other things are just kind of icing on the cake. But if you had said that right out of the gate, I would have been like, that's lame. I'm not interested, right? Because that's not where I was at the time. Right. So the next sign, he says, in day-to-day upper limiting is criticism and blame. And I know that this is something that applies to a lot of us, especially those of us in close romantic relationships too, because I'm just going to read it here. He says, I mentioned earlier that most worry thoughts have absolutely nothing to do with reality. That's true for criticism too. In other words, when we criticize something, it usually doesn't have anything to do with the thing we're criticizing. When we blame someone or something, we're doing it because we've hit our upper limit and are trying to retard the flow of positive energy. So we're finding reasons to pick apart something else or somebody else because we just cannot handle how good we feel. And our body is trying to find a way to turn the good back down a little bit by looking for issues in other things. And
yeah, that's something that I have to look at with myself, in relationships, because it's like the other person is trying so hard to make me happy and do all these things. Even though that's what I want, it's not something that I'm used to, but I'm actually calling it in. So as they're doing this, I'm like, well, but the other day you didn't acknowledge my feelings. Yeah. And the other day you did X, Y, and Z. So I've been catching myself like, oh shit, I'm upper limiting. I'm just not allowing it to flow. And then you sit there like, okay, well, I'm manifesting all of these things. How come it's not working? Not realizing that you're actually cutting it off over and over and over, right? But it's so hard, and we talked about this before, to instead of blaming and criticizing, to actually sit there and be like, you know what, maybe I am the fucking problem. Maybe there is things that I do need to change. Yeah. But it's so much easier to put it on the other person.
Yeah. Totally.
Well, and then here's this cycle again. Then they're coming back at you in defense mode. Well, I'm trying and you don't care. Well, you're not trying hard enough. Well, you should do X, Y, and Z. This is an opportunity always for healing, right? Yeah. Because when we're criticizing and blaming, it's because we want this person to show up and feel this one need that we have that we're supposed to be giving to ourselves.
Right.
Ultimately.
Right. Well, and it's funny because I just had kind of an epiphany just now as you were talking about how this applies to our manifesting journey too, money or other things specifically, because instead of sitting there being appreciative of what we have and how hard our things are, even our money, like instead of sitting there and looking at our account, no matter the money, no matter the number, and going, okay, well, at least up until this second, I have everything I need and I've been able to pay all my bills and like I'm still alive. So obviously I've had enough money up until now to survive. We're looking at it and criticizing it. Why aren't you more? Why aren't you growing faster? Right. And it's like,
and here's another thing too. Whatever we give our attention to grows. So this person, right, your partner's trying to avoid the old stuff that just happened, and you want so badly for them to acknowledge it, not realizing you're bringing it back in over and over and over. You're so focused on that, then guess what? Then the next thing you know, this person shows up doing that thing again, and then you're like, I want you to apologize again.
Yeah. Yeah, but you are the one recreating. Yeah, exactly. But you're the one recreating the cycle because you're focusing on it. This is like so... Yep. We're going meta with this stuff. Jesus. But seriously though, right? Like, and this is the same, like I said, for manifesting too, like this plays perfectly into what I'm always saying. We are already living our dream reality, but only to the degree that we're allowing it in, because so many of us are sitting here going, okay, well, yeah, I have this, but it's not that. It's not this version of it. It's not, and this is, I'm like, no, you have to appreciate where you are, what you have, and let it expand to be more, right? Like my first realization of this was like literally where I came up with this analogy was I was sitting around, and I'm sure I'm repeating myself, but we were sitting around our pool outside. And now the house that I live in is owned by my parents-in-law. And we have a beautiful suite and we have an amazing backyard. Like it is phenomenal. We're sitting around the pool. And I caught myself thinking, well, like this is fantastic and everything, but I wish it was my house and my pool, right? And then I thought, okay, well, hang on a second though, because even if it was my house and my pool, I would still be doing the exact same thing, sitting with the exact same people, doing the exact same thing, drinking the exact same lemonade or iced coffee or whatever we were having, mojitos maybe, because I do make good mojitos. The virgin ones are good too. And, I would be doing the exact same thing. So I thought, okay, well, I have the pool I've always wanted as a kid. I have this beautiful house. I have this beautiful yard. I have this beautiful family. Yeah. It's not like the grandiose version of what I if I was to write down my ideal wish list of what it would be, it's not exactly that, but it's as good as it can get for what I'm allowing in, right? And then I change my perspective and just go, well, how lucky are you that the universe is giving you everything you want, but only to the degree that you are allowing it in. And I thought, oh shit.
And so everybody's going through this right now.
Yes. And this is what I mean about people were sitting around criticizing the universe for not showing up for us. And you're not giving me all that I asked for and blah, blah, blah. But you're not allowing it in either, because the universe is always trying to give you what you're asking for, but you're the one that's not allowing it in.
Yep. And somebody brought this to my attention yesterday. And, you know, she was like, you're not accepting where you are. And that's exactly what it is. We must accept where we are. Yeah. Yes, you still have that desire for more. But if we're not accepting and we're like, well, I wish this was mine, and how come this isn't mine? Not only are you telling the universe that you don't believe that it is yours already,
right?
But you're automatically so much resistance.
Yes.
Because then it triggers emotions, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I was getting angry yesterday. You know, it doesn't matter what level where we're at in this journey. These things are always going to arise. This has to become programming that we're catching 24/7.
Right.
You know, and I was just like,
that's the word.
I'm getting mad. Well, here's another amazing fucking thing though. Whenever you feel jealousy towards something that you want, the only reason why we feel that is because there's already a version of us that exists. Okay. This is what quantum physics says, that if you feel jealousy towards anything, is because it's a nudge letting you know. It's like a confirmation saying, hey, it's already yours in another reality. The only thing that you have to do is shift. That's it. It's already ours. So instead of us getting angry and upset that we don't have it, we have to perspective shift and be like, oh, fuck. I felt this initial emotion because I already have this shit. And I'm now shifting into this already. It's not something that's so far-fetched that we cannot have. No, it's already ours. The universe is letting us know, hey, you already have this. This is why you feel this jealousy, this envy, or whatever. Don't stay living there. Just take it as a confirmation and keep following your joy from moment to moment, shifting, shifting, shifting. And before you know it, you're going to be living that out in your 3D reality.
Yes. Yes. Our manifestations are waiting for us to show up, not the other way around.
Exist.
Yes.
They already exist.
Yes. So the work is always to become the woman who already has it. But really, when we're talking about becoming the woman who already has it, really what's happening is you have to actually unbecome who you're not. But that gets a little bit confusing. So that's why we talk about it as becoming the version, because it's easier to comprehend stepping into that level of ourselves rather than undoing who we've become. You know what I mean?
Right. It's not really about focusing on the desires. It's creating this new identity for ourselves that has all of these things.
Right.
And that flows right into you. Right.
And that version of you, which is why I'm talking about, back, a year and a bit ago when I did that 5-day presence challenge, I talked about being present in the moment and allowing that to be where you are and where your attention is the ultimate embodiment, ultimate law of attraction, ultimate law of assumption in motion, because the version of you who already has what she wants, well, she's at peace. She's cool with relaxing in the moment because she already has everything she wants. She's not worried about it because she knows it's either going to show up or it's already here. So there's no need to worry. So by you embodying that now and being in the present moment, you energetically quantum leap all over the whole, in between, because you're signaling to the universe, okay, well, if I'm going to be present and totally cool, in so many months when I have this thing, well, then I'll just do it right now, because that's who I am. That's who I'm becoming. I'm just going to do it right now, because if I know it's inevitable, there's no reason for me to get all up in arms about it now. Right? Like, that's really all it is just appreciating the fact that the universe is always on your side. Everything is always working out for you. And that you don't ever have a desire for something that is not meant for you. It just doesn't work that way. So if you have a desire for something, it's inevitable that it will be yours. So why do we get, I'm talking to myself here too, just as much as I'm talking to everybody else. Right.
And even like with the one soul sister that I was talking to too, is like, she was saying how her fear kicked in. Like, why would the world want me? There's so many more people doing what I want to be doing and stuff like that. There's no fucking competition in your reality.
Right.
There's none. Nobody can take what you want in your reality, what you're manifesting, even if it's the same fucking thing. It doesn't matter. It's a guarantee for it to be yours. They don't even exist. It's your reality. Yours. So it doesn't matter what you're trying to go into. It doesn't matter how many people are fucking doing the same thing. It doesn't matter. What's yours is yours. It is a guarantee. I mean, I was telling her, I was like, haven't you ever gone to Mexico? I mean, there's a fucking liquor store and a taco stand on every corner. You think they're worried about all the taco stands next to them? No. And they're all still in business because what's theirs is theirs. Whoever is meant for them will show up no matter what other people are doing. It doesn't matter. It doesn't affect your manifestations.
Right.
You are the one that the world needs. You are. Even if there was 50 clones, it doesn't matter. You, this one version is what the world needs.
Right. Exactly. Amen. Honestly. Yeah. I'm not going to even bother. I said it so well.
Accepting where I was yesterday, I feel like, and I didn't even realize I was doing that. I honestly didn't. Not at all. I was just like, I want that. Okay, that makes, okay, I'm going to work. Okay, blah, blah, blah. She was like, Teresa, stop. You're not accepting where you are right now in this moment. And I was like, holy shit, I'm not. And as soon as I sat there with those emotions and stuff, and then I shifted, oh my gosh, I'm just feeling this even stronger because it's right here. It's right here. I am shifting. I mean, today's the first episode that I got up. I felt no fucking resistance. I was on fire. I was like, let's fucking go. I was here 10:59.
What? I was like, oh my God, this is amazing.
I was like, can you hear me? Are you there? Do you see the time that I'm in here?
Hello, what's going on? Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I've shifted 100%.
Yeah.
100%. And it feels fucking amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And I am so happy for you.
And this is a sign for those of you who are watching, right? This is your birds before landing, me confirming this shift. If you're asking if you're shifting or not, 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
1,000,000%. Man, it's like, oh my God. So good. And it's okay. So the art of getting beyond our upper limit problem has a lot to do with creating space within us to feel and appreciate natural good feelings, right? And so he says right here, by natural, I mean good feelings that aren't induced by alcohol, sugar, or short-term fixes. I read that and I was just like, yeah, I get it. Mm-hmm. But so this is what we're talking about, right? Is like sitting and appreciating where we are now, accepting where we are now, and letting it feel good. And I think I'm having kind of an epiphany right now. I think a lot of us, because we are programmed, especially me, like I'm a type A, high achiever, oldest sibling, blah, 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 right? Like you have to strive for more, reach your goals, get to where you're going. But it's not enough until it's enough, but it's never enough because there's always more and da, 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 da. And so we, I think, get caught up in achieving the next thing that we don't allow ourselves to stop and appreciate what we've just accomplished. And this is exactly what he's talking about. Like, feel and appreciate the good feelings now and let, okay, none of us are where we want to be, but we are where we used to want to be too. And if we don't stop and appreciate that, then we're always like, if you are always saying, like I was saying about my business isn't where I want it to be. I'm not where I want to be. Well, you can't ever be anywhere other than where you don't want to be if you continue to affirm that I'm not where I want to be, because like I just said, as you continue to move, because you'll keep moving forward and accomplishing goals and stuff, but the goalpost keeps moving too. Like, stop moving the goalpost, right? And appreciate when you've got the field goal or whatever. My dad will be so proud of my football analogy. But you know what I mean? Like, we have to accept and appreciate where we've gotten to already. And for a lot of us here, like if you guys are here watching this, or whether you're on the replay live right now, it doesn't matter. I know that if you're in our orbit, in our realm, you're already doing so much more than the majority of the people around you. Right. And that's why you feel kind of lonely in your social circles and at work and all of that, because people don't get it. Right. But we get it. That's why you're here listening to us. But so no, and I say this to my clients all the time. I'm like, look, I know that you feel like you're not doing enough. I know that you feel like this goal always seems to be at arm's length away, blah, blah, blah. But I was like, look, the fact that you're even interested in talking to somebody about hiring a coach, let alone actually going that extra step and doing it and investing yourself in a way that most people look at you and go, that's mental. Why would you do that? You're so far ahead of so many people already. And it's not about comparing, but it's just about like, feel good about where you're at. Right.
Right. Oh. This is where I feel like the magic comes into play too, right? Retraining your mind, your brain to scan your reality for the things that you're grateful for, you know, abundance everywhere.
Yes.
Instead of looking at all of the lack, and then we're creating more of it again, whatever we're focusing on over and over and over.
Yeah.
You know,
exactly.
It's so important. It's so important from that morning time for us to focus on gratitude, and it's perspective shift all day long, all day long, all day long. You know, where can we change these things? One of the things that causes us to worry are the bills, right?
Yeah.
And what comes in my head is like, what are the things that we're grateful for that these bills are representing? That yes. We have a home, that we have water, we have gas, you know, whatever it is. I'm so grateful that I have this opportunity to have a home that has electricity. I'm so grateful that I have an opportunity to even have this bill. This is amazing, rather than fuck, here goes another fucking bill and I got to pay this and I got to do this, I got to do that. Right. Even this morning, I was a little bit frustrated because I didn't want it to be my turn to take the kids to school this morning. So I was like, fuck, I got to finish this. I got to do this. I want to get ready. And then it was funny because my friend came in right at that moment. She's like sending me a message, Teresa, oh my gosh, like this freaking whole gratitude thing and, you know, looking for abundance everywhere in your life. There's so much oxygen for us to breathe and the trees and the green is beautiful. And I was like, fuck, okay. Well, I'm glad that I have this car to take the kids to school. This is so amazing. I'm glad that I have this money to put gas in the car. Yeah. I'm glad I got this opportunity to come out and see the sun shining. It's just like all fucking day perspective shift over and over and over. Scanning.
And that's just it.
That's exactly it. Get us upset. Like all the things that I'm saying right now, we got to shift all day. This is even what this book is saying.
Yeah.
We're shifting. You can't stop the thoughts. We have thousands and thousands of thoughts a second, a minute.
Right.
We got to shift all fucking day long.
Yeah. But it really is about perspective. Like that's one thing that I attribute a lot of my evolution to, is just choosing to look at things differently. Right. And like the silver lining, finding the silver lining. Okay. Like you're saying, okay, I got to drive my kids to school. At least though, I get to, you know, get out on the road. I get to be in the sunshine. I get to this, I get to that. I get to spend extra time with my daughter. I get to, you know, changing the perspective, because I mean, you can choose to see the bad in everything. And a lot of people do choose that. And so, you know, what do you want? Do you want to be happy or do you want to be miserable? That's really what it comes down to. And when you shift your perspective and you look at the abundance you have, be grateful for all that you do have, be grateful for the freedom. I don't know where I saw it, not that it matters, but they were saying like, look, you have the freedom to choose this coffee creamer or that, you know, whether you want cream or milk in your coffee. You get to choose whether you want to turn down this street or this street. You get to choose whether you want to have this for lunch or that for lunch. You get to choose, do you want to watch this movie or this movie? You get to choose between this tea or this tea. You get to choose between, you know, X and Y. Like, be grateful that you even have the freedom to choose anything. Because again, it's not about comparison, but, you know, like my husband and my son and I were just living in a third world country for you know, a year and a half. And there's a lot of situations where they don't have the choice, right? Like they're having rice and beans or beans and rice. And that's, you know, those are the choices. And it got like, I have heard people say that in their family, they had to rotate daily who got to have seconds. So like today, okay, dad gets seconds. And then tomorrow, okay, the son gets seconds. And then the next day, the wife gets seconds. And then the day after that, the sister gets seconds, because they don't have enough for everybody to have enough. Right? So it's like, I know it's not about, I don't mean to focus on people having less, making you feel better having more, but I'm just saying, like, if you live in a first world country, you have a lot to be grateful for. And my husband was just looking at this video that he shared into one of his Facebook groups that was basically, look, we have more freedom. We have more availability. We have more access. We have more luxuries than we've ever had in history. Like less than 100 years ago, you couldn't even have a hot shower if you wanted to, you know, and yet people feel the need that we're more miserable than ever. There's more cases of depression than ever. You know, we're constantly comparing ourselves to other people. We're constantly looking at what we don't have. We're constantly over-financing ourselves so that now we have to go to a job we hate to pay for the bills for the things that we don't even really need. We only bought it to impress, you know, the guy next door because he has something like that too. And it's just like, people are losing the perspective of what's actually important, right? And it just makes me a little bit crazy. Like, honestly.
Yeah. And that's, I just, you know, wherever you are, except where you are right now, don't compare your journey to anybody else's. I had this conversation with my friend yesterday too. Is like, you know, because there's some of us who move really fast, right? Who are able to manifest their desires instantly overnight. And then there's some of us who take a little bit longer, but
Right.
our journeys are completely different.
Right.
And so many factors come into this, you know. Maybe they paid all their karmic debt in their last life, and this one is just supposed to be a breeze for them. You know what I'm saying? They don't have all this worry, this stress or whatever. So when they come into this work, it just flows automatically. And then there's those of us who are meant to teach, who have gone through a lot of darkness. We have a lot of shadow shit to work through to get where we're going. You know, just be patient with yourself. No shame, no guilt, none of that. Love on yourself.
Yeah.
Fuck. Just the fact that we came in with no fucking memory and then we are where we are right now.
That's pretty cool, man.
You know what I'm saying?
That's
Like,
pretty cool.
that's a big fucking deal.
Yeah.
Big deal.
Yeah. And my husband chimed in with another super helpful comment. He was like, he says, I feel like one trick could be when you're feeling stuck and you are, you know, not really sure what to do. He's like, do something different to break the feeling of being in a Pandora's box, kind of a Groundhog Day situation. It'll help break free from the stuck feeling. And it's worked for me and it does still. And he's right. You know, and I've heard people say
absolutely.
too, like, if you want, time moves the slowest when you're doing the same shit over and over again. And not that we want life to go even faster than it already does, but if you want to have more excitement in your life, like do something different, break free from the patterns, because so many of us, especially those of us who still have to go to 9-to-5 jobs, well, even self-employed people, you know, you get into a routine and it's easy, it's comfortable, you know what to expect. The ego is happy when there's a routine. So then you get sucked into the Groundhog Day, but that's where complacency comes in. And that's where we just, in the zone of incompetence / zone of competence, even zone of excellence. You want to be in your zone of genius, but that requires doing something different, which is scary. I get that.
When I was in my 9-to-5, I had heard that whole thing. And the mentor at that time was like, even on your drive home from work, make it fucking different. Throw your mind off. Go down a different street that you never went down. Something that simple.
Yeah.
You know, even though, you know, you take this freeway, you take this exit, it's going to get you home. Go away that you never gone before. You're shifting up your energy, you know, getting out of that funk. And it did make a difference, honestly, because I was like, oh my God, I didn't even know that existed over here. Oh, wow, look, shit, found somewhere new to hang out tomorrow, you know?
You know what's funny about that? After, so obviously you guys know when we were moving to Nicaragua, we spent several months like selling off all of our stuff. So one of the last things we did was sell our vehicle. Cause I mean, it's, you know, that's a convenience that I wasn't ready to give up earlier than I had to. But so after we sold our vehicle, we only had maybe 3 weeks or whatever, but I was going to say stuck, but can't say clearly because we're not stuck. We were given the opportunity to go everywhere on foot or on our bikes. And so we ended up going for a really long walk up to, there was a new coffee shop put in. It's only about a 5-minute drive, but when you're walking, and especially uphill, like it took us about 2 hours, like round trip to do the whole thing. And so we're walking, and because we had never walked this way before, because we were always taking the truck, we had missed out. There was this whole sidewalk where like hearts were put into the concrete. Now, I don't know if it was like poured that way or painted that way or whatever, and I don't even know how many years it's been like that, but we'd been missing out on this the whole time. And I was like, oh my God. And it's like 2 blocks of like hearts in the sidewalk. So you know me, I was just like freaking out because I was like, oh my God, hearts. But that's a perspective shift, right? Doing something different, and you never know what's going to come of it. And like you say, you turn down a different road and you see this new neighborhood and you find a new park or something for your kids, or you find a new coffee shop or this, like, I mean, how many restaurants do you know that are like just little hole in the wall, you know, converted old houses or something? And that turns out it's like the best food you've ever had in your entire life, right? Like Derek's saying,
Yep.
it doesn't have to be something huge, just something out of your normal, just something different. It doesn't like you're saying, instead of watching this same movie you always watch a different movie. Walk this way instead of that way. Order something different at the coffee shop you go to a different coffee shop. Like if you still want coffee, fine, but go to a different one. Or, you know, don't talk to the same teller you always talk to at the bank, talk to a different, like you never know what can come of it. But mixing things up makes a huge difference. Absolutely.
Definitely. Yep. Well, that went by fast.
I know. I love it.
Oh, shit.
I love Tuesdays so much. Thank you guys so much again for hanging out with us. We just deeply, deeply appreciate you and your time and your comments and your love and your energy and all of that. I just love it. So with that, we will leave you for another week. We'll see you back here Tuesday, 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. We'll be talking about chapter 4 of the Big Leap, plus, you know, whatever else comes up, because side tangents are our specialty. So we will see you guys then. Thank you so much. Have a beautiful day, and we will talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye.